We actually have a repeat customer that came in one day and he's like, man, do you want to keep coming back here? And I'm like, no, why? Tell me. And he looks at me and he goes, you're the only place that gives a darn about us.
Hello, everyone. It's Sean from Thrive with another episode of The Power Up, where I meet with successful small business owners and operators to learn about their business strategy so you can take their insights and level up your own business. Once your business is ready to expand, knowing where to start can be overwhelming. Our guests have some creative solutions for how they've tackled tricky problems and turned them into growth opportunities. Now, let's dive into today's episode.
Hello, everyone. Our guest today is Bill Fuchs. He's the president of Logical Green Solutions, a company that was started to innovate cultivation and energy-saving technology. Once the pandemic happened, investment in their services slowed down significantly. And around the same time, Bill had a shoulder surgery, and the only way he was able to sleep through the night was through a surgeon-approved Delta-8 gummy. That's when Bill started looking into regulations around potency tests and determined that is not enough. So the business pivoted to commercial cannabis cultivation solutions, and Bill opened Ethereal Gold Dispensary to produce safe, cost-effective products tested to the highest standard in the nation. So how did that work for a bio? Anything?
We're done. We're done with the interview. Yeah, we're done with the interview. Yeah.
Okay,
that's good.
So,
all right, thanks. Yeah, we did. Oh, what was that? 3 minutes. All right, we're good. Yeah. No, that was very accurate. Very accurate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So the first question I'll ask in a second is going to be about about just adding some color commentary to that pivot. But all right, you ready to get started, Bill?
Yeah. No, I'm glad to hear this editing. That way, if I do an or something like that or a timeout, yeah, perfect.
Yeah. No, if you swear a whole bunch for 20 seconds or whatever, we'll
I shouldn't. I mean, that's not a typical MO, but I can be prompted. But sure.
We'll see what happens. All right. Hello, everyone. Our guest today is Bill Fuchs. He is the president of Logical Green Solutions. They are a company that was started to innovate cultivation and energy-saving technology. Once the pandemic happened, investment in their services slowed down significantly. And around that same time, Bill had a surgery on his shoulder, and the only way he was able to sleep through the night was with a surgeon-approved Delta-8 gummy. That's when Bill started looking into regulations around potency tests and determined that is not enough. So the business pivoted to commercial cannabis cultivation solutions, and Bill opened Ethereal Gold Dispensary to produce safe, cost-effective products tested to the highest standard in the nation. Bill, you ready to get started today?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. So fill in the gaps here. So quite a pivot. Maybe tell us a 20-second overview of what Logical Green Solutions was before the pandemic, and what was the impetus for that transition.
Sure. Prior to the pandemic, we were working in LED lighting, energy-saving technology, and that evolved into vertical cultivation technology with rolling racks and fertigation and irrigation, LED lighting for people, etc. In fact, as of February 2020, we thought we were going to be doing great guns. Went to the first Wisconsin Cannabis Expo, had a booth and 2 presentations. Usually a good presentation for us is 20 to 30 people. We had 100 people seated, 150 standing room only. It was a 5-hour trade show. They were only expecting 1,500 people. We had 3,500 people go through in 5 hours. Made the mistake of going out of that show and going, guys, this is going to be a great year. We're positioned really well with energy saving technology, with cultivation technology. And then that night I felt a little warm and sweated through 6 t-shirts and was hacking around for 3 days with a fever. Turns out we were early adopters of COVID. I picked up COVID along with 2 people that we were working with. Found out from one of the architects that went in for surgery in August that he had antibodies COVID from the same time. He called me up and said, hey, yeah, congratulations. So while we like to be early adopters of technology, not so much on COVID. You can say that was better than the influenza we just dealt with. That was worse. So anyways, we got out of the trade show, and our next trade show was 6,500 people trade show. We've been in for 15 years. We usually generated anywhere between 70 and 74% of our leads at the trade show for the year. And we had a 20 by 40 booth, 4 presentations, and it opened up on the first day of the pandemic, where normally we'd have 6,500 people. They had 750 people that were vendors and only 200 attendees that showed up in 2 days because of the lockdown with COVID. So it was crickets. That was a wake-up call. We ended up pivoting then because cultivation was suffering because the price of flower had commoditized so much. Fortunately, that's starting to come back up a little bit, I think, in the future here. That would be great. And we went into temperature detection for a while. The temperature detection had 8 sales in 8 states over 4 months. And then vaccines came out, killed that industry. Meanwhile, as you mentioned, I blew up my shoulder, hated Oxy, talked to my surgeon. He said, hey, just check the testing, make sure that the products you take are tested, but try a Delta 8 or Delta 9 gummy. Had my first Delta 9 gummy, slept through the night because I had to sleep sitting up on the couch for 2 months. It had really messed with the shoulder. I've got 3 pins and a redone rotator cuff. And that was the best thing that happened because I tried my Delta 8 gummy. I slept through the night. I felt refreshed. And we dove into testing. We were down from 14 people down to a core family. It's myself, my 2 sons, and my wife works part-time. We dove into testing, talked to over 150 manufacturers, 25 labs, and found out that there was, the government only requires testing for potency, which if you go to a bar, that'd be equivalent of getting 3 shots of clear alcohol. And it says 180 proof, 80 proof, 80 proof. You take the first one, 80, and it's Everclear, which is nasty. You take the next shot, which is 80. This says 80 rather, not 180. And that's Tito's vodka. It's not bad. Well, as a consumer, you see a third shot that says 80 proof, right? So you're expecting Tito's vodka. You take that shot, and instead it's a little harsher. You actually go blind because you just drank moonshine without alcohol. But the government's only requiring potency testing. So you can get pesticides, solvents, mycotoxins, mold, mildew, heavy metals, and it doesn't get tested on the standard testing. We found that as a big differentiating factor, did a lot of research over the next 4 or 5 months, signed up with the top manufacturers, and the Ethereal Gold standard was born, which every one of our products has that complete full panel testing, and it's easy to find right on the tab with the products on our website. And when you're in person, you can see the COAs here. It is something that we have found extremely beneficial. We grew 300% last year. We now have etherealgolddispensary.com, physical location in Waukesha, Wisconsin for Ethereal Gold Dispensary. And then we recently launched our automated kiosks for self-serve. We have one in a mall in Brookfield, and one in a music venue and bar in Waukesha here. One we placed in January for 24/7 sales in our vestibule. And we just launched our 4th machine in a liquor store in Wales, Wisconsin. So we grew 300% last year, as I said, and we're ramping up even faster yet. So that's where we're at.
That's great.
Just a few changes.
Yeah, no question at all. That's awesome. Yeah, you and I were both actually at a trade show exactly when COVID started. I was there the day before it was fully publicly announced, and then the second day of the same trade show, it was a ghost town. So I remember exactly what you're referring to. So you and I were in the same boat.
It was devastating.
So, yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, no hand sanitizer the first day, hand sanitizer your second day, and no one was shaking hands or anything like that. So, you mentioned grew 300%. What would you say is are you able to attribute that growth to anything in particular, like a sales channel, or is it just organic, or where did that really come from?
So the good news, it's all been organic and SEO and word of mouth. The bad news is the reason for that is because we thought we were going to get $122,000 of ERC money from consultants that told us that, and found out we got none because we're a family-owned business. So we've been bootstrapping today. We have had no paid marketing yet, but we are continuing to knock it out of the park with SEO and with in-person sales, and it's just been a very positive growth pattern. So looking to get to that next step where we can actually get some paid marketing.
Okay. And go back to what you just mentioned about ERC money. So is that what is ERC money? Is that like some type of a loan or something? Can you explain that?
No, that's actually a government grant that came out after during the pandemic. It came out, I believe. So it's ERC stands for Employee Retention Credit. And if you retained employees and kept them working full time, you were supposed to turn that into the government, and then they gave you a check. So for example, Hooters got something like 5.6 million. Franchises got money. Large companies got money. Other businesses got money. We didn't find out until too late and it's a grant. It's not even a loan. You don't pay it back. That was designated for our runway. And unfortunately, we found out, even though we're all W-2 employees, we're all employee contracts or parent company files as a C Corp, we got nothing. Very, very challenging as a business owner. If there are other small business owners out there that are family, they'll understand the pain, suffering, and agony.
Sure. So the fact that it's a family-owned business with family and staff prevented you from pursuing this money? Is that the problem here?
So as a majority owner, I did not qualify. And then any of my family members, even if they were contracted and even their W-2, paying W-2 taxes, they didn't qualify either. So unfortunately, that was not what we were told in writing by the quote unquote consultants that turned out to be looking for retainer fees. There's quite a few people.
Jeez. Okay. Shoot. So, so how do you go through, I'm sure that's a tough one, especially if you're planning for on your runway. So how do you navigate something like that from a financial planning perspective for like the next year? Like walk us through what happened and how you're able to, to fix that.
We were already 9 months into it when we found out the bad news. And what we had done based on the 122.6 as a runway, we said, well, what we'll do is we'll just put it on company personal credit cards and personal debt. And since we were already 9 months in, at 9 months, we were already growing quite well and getting a really good response. So we just made a determination. It's a terrible way. I would not recommend bootstrapping with credit card debt as a way to start a business. This is the fourth business that we've started. I've got 3 businesses already. I would not recommend that. That's not the great mode of operation. It's a much better rule of thumb that says, hey, whatever you think you need, multiply it by 3. That's more reality. We've just been very fortunate that we've been able to drive revenues fast enough that we now have qualified for some lending. And we made some updates, like we moved from WooCommerce to Shopify. We started working with Thrive on the inventory as we outgrew our old inventory program. And we've been able to make technology steps and continue the growth at an accelerated pace now. So now we're looking for a little bit more competitive funding. In fact, I was just on the phone a few minutes ago with someone. We're looking for a little longer term, lower interest rate to do a takeout loan for what we have currently. And then we can continue doing that, because every time you lower your rate and improve your cash flow with a longer term, it drops right to bottom line profitability. So
interesting.
Much better. Yeah.
Do you see having problems with pursuing funding, given the industry that you're in? Is that something you run into at all?
You said no swearing, so yes.
Yeah,
I was going to give you an H. Yes, yeah. So the hemp drive, because we're in legal hemp drive, so we're federally legal, and we're legal in Wisconsin 100%. But each state operates as its own little fiefdom, so you have to be aware of the rules, regs, what can be sold there, what can be bought there, what can be possessed there. And then it's really just a matter of taking a step away from the leaves on the trees, looking at the whole forest and coming up with a game plan. Got it.
Interesting. Okay. So I want to go back to earlier. You mentioned something along the lines of an Ethereal Gold Standard. So I know that's, in your guys' business name, but is there anything that, like, practically with like the product that you sell, that you have some sort of like accredited like stamp of approval on the products that's like recognized by sort of an organization, or is that more just like your guys' marketing lingo?
That is our requirement for any product that we carry in our portfolio and sell. But it is not something that we've actually had. You're the second person that's mentioned, maybe we should get a stamp or something like that and do it sort of like a DLC does with lighting or UL does with building assemblies, and come up with a stamp. And that is on a someday thing, not my area of expertise. And I'm not quite sure how you'd monetize that properly. But if there's anybody out there that wants to take that lead, I could gladly help with it. But it's not going, it isn't on our strategic plan for the next 5 years. Let's put it that way.
Sure. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if it's a monetizable type of thing, but
there's
potentially consumer confidence around it.
Yeah. So for consumer confidence right now with the Ethereal Gold Standard, we're finding that originally when we set up the Ethereal Gold Standard, we did it primarily for those that are in the health and wellness sector of hemp and cannabis products. But what we were very surprised to find out very quickly is even dude that comes in and says, hey, I want the strongest thing you've got. they care about it. We actually have a repeat customer that came in one day and he's like, man, you guys, you want to keep coming back here? And I'm like, no, why? Tell me. And he looks at me and he goes, you're the only place that gives a darn about us. I edited that. That gives a darn for it. And I go, what do you mean? Tell me more. And he goes, well, when we come in here, our dispensary set up sort of like a post-prohibition speakeasy, so it's a little bit more warmer. It's set up by cannabinoid and by experience, not by product type and flashing lights and things like that. And he goes, every time I go over to, and he named a couple of competitors, he goes, they try to push me on the daily specials, even if I don't want it. I have a problem where because of their testing or lack of testing, I might not get the same experience that I want every time, even though I'm buying the same product. He goes, when I buy the stuff at your place, it's the same experience, it's consistent, and you guys are always helpful. And you always, and that's the other thing is we always try to educate, and help customers when they have questions, because there's still, I want to say, 30 to 40% of the population that doesn't understand the difference between hemp and marijuana.
Sure. Got it. So how do you guys, so how do you think of customer retention? So like you mentioned that this individual comes in and they mentioned they have a really good experience with you guys. Do you have any sort of loyalty program or stamp card or anything along those lines that you guys drive?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. So we have a number of things. So we have, first of all, we do have a subscription program that they can get repeat and discounts. We also have a rewards program where when all you need is just your email address and your name, and they accumulate rewards that they can use for future products. We also have, using that sort of the speakeasy post-prohibition, we have a secret agent special. Once you spend over, I believe it's $100 as a customer in lifetime, you qualify for monthly specials that only goes out to the other agents also. So it might be a new product announcement. It might be samples. It might be a discount off of existing. It might be buy X and get something free. So we'll run that. We also have 10% discounts for veterans and active military, students, teachers, first responders. Oh, and people over 55.
Okay.
And then the last part on community engagement, we also donate 2% of all of our sales to nonprofits helping those that were affected, either communities, individuals, by the war on drugs. So currently we're working with Last Prisoner Project.
Okay, I see. How do you manage that from a tech perspective? Do you have a software that helps with that?
We do. We have Shopify, and I'd have to check with Michael, who runs our website and the subscription program. I don't recall. The rewards program is built in Shopify. I don't recall if the subscription program is. I think it might be another add-in we have.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, if you send it over, we can add it to the show notes afterward. Our audience likes to see that kind of stuff. Last question, and then we have some quick rapid fire questions, and we'll wrap up there. Sure. So thinking about because we have folks in our audience that work in these heavily regulated industries. So do you have any guidance or what would be a step for them to take for navigating the regulatory space with this? Do you have someone on staff that's fully dedicated to working on this with you guys? Do you refer to any sort of online resource? It's just a huge, a crazy, web. So how do you navigate that?
So my question is, is that person asking as a business owner looking to get into business or as a consumer? Because it's two different answers.
The business. Yeah.
So business, as a business owner, it is absolutely everything you mentioned and more. First of all, it depends upon what state they're in. You have to find out what your state regulations are. Then you have to find out what your local regulations are, because if you are in a med rec state, which we are not, Wisconsin's hemp-derived products only, if you're in a med rec state, it actually can vary by county and by city. So it's a rather complex set of rules and regs that we've managed to do. It's basically one big federal overlay with 50 little fiefdoms that are all meandering on their own. It's about as complex as possibly could have made it. My recommendations are do everything that you mentioned, plus I would look into some of the associations like Midwest Hemp Council has been extremely valuable. They're very active. U.S. Hemp. There's several that have been very active in industry, not only with legislation regulations, but also helping people and business owners. Plus, it's great areas, great places to network. And I'd be glad I can gladly kick in some time if anybody has questions. I can give them the old Clint Eastwood good, bad, and the ugly.
That's great. I really appreciate that, Bill.
Sure.
Okay. So let's go ahead and start wrapping up here. Got 5 rapid fire questions. Pretty straightforward, so don't worry too much. But number one, what's your fastest growing sales or marketing channel for your business?
At this very snapshot in time, believe it or not, it's beverages. THC beverages within the last 3 months have started really rocking it, followed very closely by mushroom edibles.
Interesting. And what is your best way of distributing those beverages? Having people walk in and then just purchasing, or do you sell like wholesale or anything like that?
So I would say, and I'd have to check. I'm just going to give you a guess because I didn't look at the Shopify analytics on this, but I'm going to guess that right now, since dry January, we've been doing 75 to 80% of the beverage sales online and shipping them nationwide. The other 20% are in person. And we did a little playing around with the wholesale and decided it was more of a challenge that's worth. We need to stay in our lane. So we decided to keep the wholesale program very minimal.
Okay.
We are looking to add, we just talked about this yesterday with the popularity of the beverages. We're actually looking at one of our vending machines with an elevator so they could actually do complete bottles and shots.
Oh, interesting.
That's concept. That's in concept though.
The vending machine has an elevator, or you're going to place the vending machine next to an elevator?
No. The vending. So the vending machines can come with an elevator that basically, instead of having a coil that pulls the product out and then it gravity drops, or a conveyor that gravity drops, it actually will have a conveyor that takes it to an elevator, puts the product on the elevator, and then it goes and drops it off the bottom so that the glass doesn't break in your bottle.
That's smart. That's so funny. Well, that's cool. I'll have to keep an eye out for this. Number two, what's your favorite resource? It can be like a blog or a YouTube channel, a book, something like that, to grow your skills or your business.
Oh, I don't have a single source. Actually, one that's really good just as an overall business is Global Silicon Valley puts out a weekly newsletter, and I believe it's called GSV EIEIO, and it runs through a lot of the M&A and emerging aspects. That probably is my number one read right now.
All right, so the Global Silicon Valley weekly newsletter. We'll find it and link it.
Yeah, I can. If you can find it, let me know, and I can shoot that in later.
Yeah, absolutely. Number three, what's a piece of technology that you cannot live without in your business?
Oh God, there's so many of them. If I have to limit it to one, probably still going to be my laptop. Number two would probably be my phone.
Yep.
So yeah, those are two of them. Number three would probably be our vending machine kiosks, is because we're right now we're on the cutting edge, trying to back off the bleeding edge a little bit with those with tech.
Okay, what's your just let's get specific really quick on vending machines. What's your favorite vending machine? Because I have seen there is some controversy in the space of making sure you get the right one that's good and doesn't break down all the time. Do you have a particular one that you like the most?
So we actually are working with 3 different manufacturers currently and are still fine-tuning our systems with them. So I cannot make that a public recommendation yet, but we will be. We're looking to place up to 100 machines in the next few years, and we're going to be doing that either through wholesale partners or with franchising it. So at that time, we'll have it I's dotted, T's crossed, and fine-tuned. We're not quite there yet.
No, that's great. Okay, number 4, what's a piece of advice that you have for business owners that are ready to start growing their business?
I'll go back to the old Vince Lombardi quote. That's something along the lines of, everyone gets knocked down. What makes the difference between the winners and the losers? How many times you get back up.
Okay.
It is being an entrepreneur. I mean, if I could throw in a second one on there, I'll share the beginning opening of a book that I bought a while back that was said, "How do you know you're an entrepreneur?" And this one, I apologize, I'm going to swear slightly because it was in the book, but
It's okay.
you open up the cover page and it says, "You know you're an entrepreneur." You turn to the next page and it says, "Because you're as excited as all hell." And then you turn the next page, "But you're scared shitless."
Yep.
Like,
Sounds about right.
that really is pretty spot on, because there are sleepless nights. That's just one of those things sometimes. However, we do have sleep gummies that you can take for that. So
Totally. There you go. We know where to find you now. Last question, feeds right into it, is where can our listeners find you? So location, website, Instagram, Facebook, all the stuff.
sure, yes, we have etherealgolddispensary.com. We do have a presence on all the major social media. I'm on LinkedIn personally. We do all the LinkedIn page, but that's not as much for business as much as some of the other platforms. LinkedIn, email, and website are probably the best to get hold of me direct. Otherwise, Eric is our compliance director and Michael's our community director that handles also the website, social media, etc.
That's great. All right, Bill. Well, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time today.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Power Up by Thrive. I hope you enjoyed our deep dive into strategies that you can use to grow your business. If you're ready to take these ideas into the real world, head over to thrivemetrics.com. That's THRIVEMETRICS.com to sign up for a 30-day free trial of our business management software.